This is the NCGA Valent Ag Weather Outlook for June 11th, 2016. I'm John Felt. But really, I think the concern that we're looking at here has been the unusually hot weather early in the growing season along with dry conditions. So I'm going to be really focusing on how long that will last and some changes in the jet stream. But before I do that, I said this would be a very quiet week, and you can see it has been a very quiet week with very little precipitation over a large part of the middle of the U.S. Even the areas of thunderstorms, these streaks here, this is where you can really tell the difference with thunderstorms in that, you look at it any given hour and it looks somewhat impressive, but then when you look at how much it covers, it really doesn't cover that much, and that's why thunderstorms sometimes are much more scattered as far as precipitation goes. So we look at the departure from normal over the last 7 days. Here you go. That area of bright yellow is actually a departure of 2 inches over the week. So we definitely need some more rain. Now it's dried out in those areas that have been wet over parts of Nebraska and Iowa. So that has actually been beneficial to dry in some areas there. But everywhere else that didn't get that rain, we're really starting to get dry. And you can see the areas in green. Those scattered thunderstorms did bring some relatively needed rain to spots, but look how scattered it was. It was really nothing of all that significant. So if we look at the standardized precipitation index for the past 1 month, there's a little bit of a lag here, but you can see that the area in green here across Kansas, parts of Nebraska, western Iowa, northwest Missouri, that's the area that has been relatively wet going into June. The rest of the area, we're seeing these splotches of yellow, so that's saying overall we definitely need some additional rainfall. And with temperatures every day now getting into the 90s, we need it sooner rather than later. Now over the last 7 days, that real hot weather doesn't show up all that good on here, especially the eastern Corn Belt, but it has pushed in from the west, and now we're looking at anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees above normal across a good part of the Corn Belt. And that's because we have this ridge in the upper jet stream. We have a bowing to the north, and the brown areas here are indicating that the jet stream is further north than normal, and that, as you probably know, that means hot weather. It's centered right smack over the middle part of the nation. Sort of a no-brainer there. Very hot temperatures, and here we go for the next 5 days. Now, the good news, we need more rain. We need probably cooler temperatures. Good news is I do see a break from the hot temperatures, and I'll be talking about that. But when we look at the next 5 days, what we are going to have here is we're going to have a relatively weak front, and this front is going to continue to serve as a focus for scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms, and they'll go into the early nighttime hours as well. So along this axis here, there could be some needed rain. So if you are in eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, you can use that additional rain. This will be good. I suspect that there will be overall, when we look at this next week, when I talk about this next week, that I'll be showing this is more scattered than this is indicating. But again, any rain we can get. Now, unfortunately, Missouri, southern Illinois, Indiana, parts of Ohio, not nearly as much. And then the upper Midwest has just really been dry. North Dakota, parts of South Dakota, that also looks quite dry this week. Now, the change I want to talk about is as we get into the 6 to 10 day range. The ridge of high pressure is just as strong, but you can see it's pushed off to the west. Hasn't totally pushed off, but when we get this pattern of the jet stream sort of coming around here and dipping, this usually means that it allows some cooler air to slide in on the east side of this ridge of high pressure, a backdoor cold front, and that brings us some relief from the very hot temperatures. And if we look at the 6 to 10 day temperature forecast, here we go. Central and eastern Corn Belt, not quite as hot. Now the western Corn Belt, still going to be dominated mainly by that ridge of high pressure. So this is way out there. This is a week from now, but it shows high temperatures in the 70s, and I think that's a little optimistic. But anyway, compared to the mid to upper 90s, it does look like as we get into that 6 to 10 day range, we will get that backdoor cool front, and that will be lowering temperatures. So that's part one of the question is, will the extreme hot temperatures last? I'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the week. Then as we go a little bit further out, June 21st through 26th, Again, the mean position of the ridge of high pressures to the west. As long as this axis is to the west, that's going to mean the blazing heat will be further off to the west, and we're likely to get some cool fronts. So when we look at the departure from normal temperatures, we're looking at near normal temperatures, maybe a little bit above normal. So at least from these models going out 15 days, first 5 days by far the hottest, and then gradually getting closer to normal through the rest of the period. Okay, so that's temperature. Let's talk about precipitation, which is pretty critical. So here's the week 1 precipitation anomaly. At least we see some green on there, and hopefully we will get some precipitation in that area. So some areas could get a needed rainfall, other areas probably not. Then as we go into the second week, looks like that cool front will go through, and that could mean quieter weather. But I don't think there's a real high confidence in week 2, so hopefully these models are wrong. Again, any rain that we can get in this week 1 will be a benefit to those regions. And that gives you an idea here on the soil moisture change for the next through June 19th. You can see nothing all that obvious, and I do see a lot of brown from Texas, Oklahoma, areas that have been wet, but I do see a lot of drying. Now, hopefully the southeast U.S., which has been very dry as well, that looks like more moisture getting in that region. So your takeaway points, at least the first 3 to 5 days, unusually hot weather, temperatures 5 to 10 degrees or more above normal, well into the 90s, scattered precipitation over the eastern Corn Belt, central and eastern, north central and eastern Corn Belt. But then as we get past 6 days, it looks like the temperatures will gradually be coming down, nothing all spectacular, but at least getting closer to normal, and perhaps just some scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly over the eastern part of the Corn Belt. That's the briefing for this week. I guess I had at least a little bit of good news. Wish I had some better news, but I'm going to be watching that precipitation outlook very closely, especially in light of going into a La Nina, what that might mean. If you have any questions ever, there's my email. I'd like to hear from you. If not, I'll be talking with you again next weekend.